I tottered to the shops today, and what a sad, depressing experience it was. The ambitious new world leaders, led by the Myra Hindley and Ian Brady Foundation, Joseph Stalin's Academy for the Weak-Spirited, and the Mao Zedong School of Obedience, have destroyed the high street. Small shops were already suffering, destroyed by a combination of the internet, charity shops, and obscenely high local taxes. But now shops are on the ward where everyone walks on tiptoes and whispers. The sort of ward where, in the old days, you'd be as likely to see a priest, a vicar, a rabbi, or an imam as you would to see a doctor or a nurse. These days, of course, the men and women of religion are all hiding in the cupboard under the stairs, shivering with fright. There weren't many people buying anything in the shops. Shopping has become a miserable experience. The charity shops were all shut, so I took a pile of DVDs to an establishment which could have been called a junk shop in the old days, but which is probably a curio specialist or an antique dealer now. The woman behind the counter seemed pleased enough. Not many people were wearing masks, and I was pleased to see that most people seemed to be happily ignoring the rules about social distancing. But there were some terrified souls about. There were a couple of young families all masked up, with even tiny tots wearing masks. And one or two older folk were wearing masks too. Half of them were, I noticed, wearing their masks over their mouths but not their noses, which made the effort pretty pointless, of course. One middle-aged couple were wearing masks, yellow rubber washing-up gloves, and hats to which they'd sewn material so that their necks were covered. I wish I was making this up. Honestly, I wish I was making it up. I bet they'd blocked the back door keyhole so that the bug couldn't get in that way. They looked so truly pathetic that I felt sorry for them, and I was filled with anger for the people who'd been busily promoting the fear. Tom Hanks, who appears to have completed a medical degree since his last film, has been telling us that he won't respect us in the morning if we don't wear our masks like good little children. Well, screw you, Tom. Your arrogance in thinking that I give a toss about your respect is matched only by your arrogance in thinking that you know what you're talking about. It's reported that a scientist from the Royal Society has said much the same thing, though as far as I know he didn't have a film to promote and he didn't seem to have a medical degree either. A professor of chemical engineering also said that we should wear masks. I wonder if any of them know that 2 Chinese boys died wearing masks. I wonder if any of them have read the video I made about the research that has been done into mask wearing. These and people like them reminded me that when I was younger and we were allowed out more, I used to go and watch cricket, and if there was a test match on, there would invariably be a call for a doctor to go to the pavilion because one of the players needed medical attention. I'd go along and find myself at the back of a queue of blokes all anxious to help. And none of them would be medical doctors. One would have a doctorate in philosophy, another would have a doctorate in music, and the third would be a bishop with a doctorate in theological studies. They all turned up wanting to get in the dressing room and rub shoulders with the cricketers, and they all seemed surprised that they weren't needed. "Oh, I didn't know you needed a medical doctor," they'd say, apparently astonished as they backed out of the dressing room when their inappropriate skills had been rejected. Dr. Tom Thingy and the bloke from the Royal Society reminded me of those idiots. And now, of course, a pile of 239 assorted scientists have decided that the bug can hang around long after someone has sneezed, and the World Health Organization has leapt on the idea as enthusiastically as a 7-year-old leaping on the sticky bun plate at a children's party. The quickest way to become important and famous these days is to say something that fits in with the World Health Organization's current lunacies and pro-vaccine propaganda. Gosh and golly, what a surprise it was! The bug can hang around. Who'd have thought it? I bet they'll now want more social distancing, 100 yards perhaps, maybe 200 yards out of doors, and a slightly longer distance indoors. I don't know if any of the 237, or was it 239? I don't know if any of them were doctors, but what does any of this matter except as a means to terrify the ignorant and the susceptible? If 239 market gardeners had said that we all needed to smear ourselves with custard, the World Health Organization would have been thrilled. As long as Mr. Gates approved, of course. I can't wait for the Manchester United Supporters Club to make a statement on the use of masks. Meanwhile, I wonder what you call 200 moronic scientists. A diarrhea of scientists, perhaps? None of these buffoons seem to have noticed that it isn't how many people who get an infection that matters, it's how many die of it. And you have to look at the risk-benefit ratio. You have to look at how many are harmed by wearing masks. You have to look at the way people's quality of life is affected adversely. If we need to wear masks because of the coronavirus, then we need to wear masks all the time to protect us against the flu. Is that really what people want? Back to my shopping expedition. In one establishment, I was asked to take a photograph of one of those funny squiggly black and white things on my phone and to download an app so that they could make a record of all my details. I showed them the old phone which I carry around with me. It was built in the 1990s and it doesn't have a camera. It'll only just about make and receive calls. "Oh, that's all right," said the bloke at the door, looking rather sorry for me. "Just write your name and address and phone number on a piece of paper and leave it with us." He pointed to some scraps of paper and a cheap pen. I thought that was fine. I don't mind anyone knowing that my name is B. Johnson, that I live at 10 Acacia Avenue in Milton Keynes, and that I happen to have the same telephone number as Buckingham Palace. 3 days ago I was D. Crockett of the Alamo, Texas. Sometimes I'm Dr. John Holliday of the OK Corral, and if my very good lady and I go out together, we're Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, and we're moving about a good deal, so we can't give a permanent address. "Are you any relation to Davy Crockett?" asked a youth the last time I was D. Crockett. I said Davy was my great-grandfather and that I'd got his cool coonskin cap in a drawer at home. "You mustn't do this, by the way, of course. It might be naughty." I'm in so much trouble it no longer makes any difference. Oh, and before you think I might get found out by my credit card, I always pay cash. If they won't take cash, I don't buy. As I wandered around the shops, I couldn't help noticing that there was a lot of sanitizer around. Every time I went into a shop, I was invited to try their sanitizer. It was like passing the perfume counter in a department store. "Would you like to try this aftershave, sir? A squirt here and a little squirt there. Visit 6 shops and you'd have had 6 squirts of sanitizer." Well, some folk might have. I said no thanks and marched past them, and no one ran after me. The few customers who were around couldn't buy anything because they were all constantly trying to wipe the goo off their hands. When you've used 6 lots of sanitizer, the layers of stickiness must take hours to remove. The ones doing social distancing looked very strange as they rubbed their hands and dodged first to the left and then to the right and then back again. My level of social distancing is to try and avoid bumping into people. What none of these shoppers knew is that there is evidence that it isn't just masks which can kill people, and they can. Sanitizers can be deadly too. In America, the FDA has warned of a sharp increase in the number of hand sanitizer products that are labelled to contain ethanol, but which actually contain methanol, which can be toxic when absorbed through the skin and can be life-threatening if swallowed. So some hand sanitizers can cause nausea, vomiting, headache, blurred vision, permanent blindness, seizure, coma, permanent damage to the nervous system, or the ultimate side effect, death. That's the type of death you only get once. If repeatedly used as a hand rub, skin absorption can cause chronic anxiety, chronic toxicity and sight damage. A paper I've seen in Infectious Diseases Consultant confirms the danger. And there's a 2-year-old paper in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health entitled "Methanol as an Unlisted Ingredient in Supposedly Alcohol-Based Hand Rubs Can Pose Serious Health Risks." It's nigh on impossible to know which sanitizers are deadly because some of them are mislabeled. And besides, when a shop insists that you use their hand sanitizer, are you really going to try and read the label? Even if it's got a label, they probably got the stuff from a bloke who usually does the drains and bought a supply from a mate on the market who knows someone in China. You could use some sanitising gels to strip paint. If a shop assistant ever does run after me demanding that I use their store sanitizer, I shall simply say that I have a skin allergy and that I'll develop a serious rash and probably go into anaphylactic shock if I succumb to their blandishments. I have 2 lawsuits outstanding against retail establishments, I'll point out regretfully. But if you insist on taking the risk, could I have your name first? I'll lay decent odds they'll suddenly decide I don't need to have the goo after all. Thank you for watching An Old Man in a Chair, and thank you for all your support and encouragement. Please copy and share the videos on Twitter and Facebook and BitChute and other platforms. Let's spread the truth. If you'd like to put on a translation, that would be fine. If my videos disappear, please go to my website to find out where you can see them. The transcripts of all my videos, including the banned ones, are always on my website, www.vernoncoleman.com. And if the videos just completely disappear, I'll still keep putting articles on the website. This channel has not been monetized. I haven't authorized any ads and there's no sponsorship. If you'd like to see more videos from me, then please subscribe to the channel because the videos have a strange habit of disappearing. Although it may feel like it at times, please remember you're not on your own. More and more people are waking up, and I firmly believe that together we will win this fight. Thank you for watching.